Welcome to today's City Council meeting, today, Monday, April 14th, 2025. I now call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
District 1, Councilmember Casey.
Present.
District 2, Councilmember Vieira.
Present.
District 3, Councilmember Otero.
Present.
District 4, Vice Mayor Martinez.
Present.
Mayor Lopez.
Present. Please stand for the invocation by Patrick Davis from the Sirius Christian Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. He's on Zoom.
Am I on? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Good evening, series council members, guests, fellow residents. As we begin the meeting today, we just want to take a moment to ask God for wisdom and humility. So would you pray with me? Heavenly Father, we come together with gratitude for the opportunity that we have to serve this wonderful community of Ceres. And so, God, we humbly seek your guidance and wisdom as we engage in discussions that are important to all of us. So may our discussions and our conversations today be marked by understanding and respect and compassion. As we proceed with today's meeting, let us remember our shared responsibility to serve with integrity and dedication. Bless our efforts today. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Thank you.
Okay, Council, if we can go up. We have three proclamations. Our first proclamation will be Love Series Proclamation. Receiving this proclamation is Brandy Meyer, and she is here today. Please stand up, and I know you brought a guest. Bring the guest right up here. Get closer if you like. All right, everybody, here we go. Proclamating April 26, 2025 as Love Series. Love Series was first introduced in 2011. The Love Series team comprised of community leaders from nonprofits, faith, business, and public sectors promote community activities. In 2024, over 180 volunteers tackled many different projects all over Ceres, including home and yard cleanups, planting of trees, downtown cleanups, park cleanups, canal cleanups, and much, much more. A citywide volunteer day brings individuals together to make a difference in our community. The annual Love Series event has opportunities for volunteers of all ages and skill levels. Not only have the Love Series projects directly improved community infrastructure, but Love Series also serves as a catalyst, getting members of the community out in their city, allowing them to make connections with fellow volunteers and the organization they are serving, getting them excited about giving back to their community and installing love for their city. Now, therefore, may it be resolved, I, Javier Lopez, Mayor of the City of Ceres, on behalf of the City Council, Vice Mayor Daniel Martinez, Council Members James Casey, Rosalinda L. Vieira, and Serena Otero, do hereby proclaim April 26, 2025 as Love Series. I urge all residents of Ceres to join forces not only on Love Series Day, but every single day, and make their community a better place to live. A round of applause. Any comments?
I would like to thank LC for coming and his family for supporting him. He comes to our event on April 26th. We currently have around 10 to 12 projects. We have about 75 volunteers. Some are having trouble getting online, so I have to go in there and register them, but we're looking for another 75 to 80 volunteers. So we have 12 days and counting. So if we can get some volunteers to help, that would be really great. Some different projects, cleaning up senior yard work, working on cleaning the ambulance, cleaning up downtown, parks, neighborhood parks. There's something for everybody. Our Serena Otero, councilwoman, will be project leader for the veterans cards, helping to put together veterans cards for our veterans overseas. And a lot of other volunteers already in this room. So anyway, we would like to see you sign up. And if you have any questions, feel free to call us anytime. Thank you. Oh, yes, I forgot to mention, we did bring some yard signs. So help yourself, feel free to grab a yard. Turn this way.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Our second proclamation is for Arbor Day. Receiving that is Barbara Hawkins from the Ceres Garden Club. Are you here? Come on up. Okay. Proclaiming April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day. In 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for planting of trees. Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. The National Arbor Day Foundation has been a leader in promotion of education and the importance of planting trees in communities across America. Arbor Day encourages planting of trees in urban and wildland areas to protect, renew, and manage our trees and forest, and to encourage a healthy ecosystem. Trees in our city increase property value, enhance economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. In 2025 is the 153rd anniversary of Arbor Day. It is now observed throughout the nation and the world. Now, therefore, may it be resolved. I, Javier Lopez, Mayor of the City of Ceres, on behalf of the City Council, Vice Mayor Daniel A. Martinez, Council Members James Casey, Rosalinda Vieira, and Serena Otero, do hereby proclaim April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day. And I urge all residents of Ceres to celebrate Arbor Day by planting and caring for a tree. Congratulations.
In Ceres Garden Club, we try and do an Arbor Day celebration somewhere in the city of Ceres every year. Our club gets together. We did one just recently with a few members of our club and the community garden on 6th and Magnolia. It's right behind the bus stop so that it will shade the bus stop and help shade it to where in the summertime it's not quite so hot for people who have to ride the bus.
Let's take a look. The last one will be Dispatcher Appreciation Week. Receiving this will be our Ceres Police Department Dispatch. Come on up. Our team is here. Here we go. Proclaiming April 13th through the 19th, 2025 as National Public Safety Telecommunications Week, also known as Dispatchers Appreciation Week. Emergency requiring police, fire, or emergency medical services can occur at any time. The prompt response of law enforcement officers, firefighters, and paramedics is crucial to the protection of life and preservation of property. The safety of our first responders is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who contact emergency communication centers. Public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services, providing a vital link between the community and emergency responders. Public safety telecommunicators of the City of Ceres have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. Each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding the professionalism during the performance of their duties. The City of Ceres Police Department values integrity, respect, empathy, and compassion are exemplified daily by our public safety telecommunicators. Now, therefore, be it resolved. I, Javier Lopez, Mayor of the City of Ceres, on behalf of the City Council, Vice Mayor Daniel A. Martinez, Councilmember James Casey, Rosalinda L. Vieira, and Serena Otero do hereby proclaim April 13th through the 19th, 2025 as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keeps our citizens and the city safe. Congratulations. We would like to, does anybody want to speak?
Thank you, Mayor Lopez, and Council Members Martinez, Casey, Vieira, and Otero. On behalf of our dispatch center, we do thank you for this recognition. Standing behind me are most of our dispatch staff, actually. I am our senior dispatcher in the center and have been working as a dispatcher for over 18 years. And this is by far the hardest working, most dedicated, most committed team I've ever worked with over that 18 years. They tirelessly are working for the city with not as much compensation as they could get in other places, but they are doing it in a place of wanting to make this community better. So as we move forward, I know that you guys will show your appreciation as time moves on and we continue through rebuilding the center together.
Thank you.
Chief.
I am very honored tonight to have almost the entire dispatch team here. Tonight is my honor to stand up here with our dispatch team. This team was built over the past 2 years or 2.5 years. Not one of them behind me have been here longer than 2.5 years. Even with 3 frozen positions, they make it work. They work weekends, holidays, birthdays, and they miss countless family events. Their dedication is unmatched. They are true professionals, and we're lucky to have such a great team. Thank you for everything you do. I got to add this real quick. I really miss working up there with them. They probably don't miss me.
Citizens Communications. While the City Council welcomes and encourages participation in City Council meetings, adopted rules allow no more than 5 minutes. Resolution 2007-106 for expression of non-agenda items. Matters under the jurisdiction of the City Council and not posted on the agenda may be addressed by the general public. However, California law prohibits the City Council from taking any action on any matters which is not on the posted agenda, unless it is determined to be an emergency by the City Council. Citizens are entitled to address the city council on any agenda item, subject to the 5-minute provision. Anyone wishing to address the city council must adhere to the rules of decorum. The rules of decorum are posted outside the chamber doors. We will start with if any of our representatives are here today. Lisa, this is a great, I don't know if you had any reports, but this is an opportunity where we have our representatives report out. Welcome, Lisa.
Which is on the agenda. Oh, excuse me.
Let's start all over again so people can hear you on Zoom.
So for those of you that don't know me, as I'll step back, I'm Lisa Mantero Moore. Tonight I'm representing the Ceres Street Fair. I didn't want to confuse the agenda items as we're in the consent calendar, but happy to address that at a specific point. Separately, I'm here also because I live in this town and I'm very proud of it, and I represent Congressman Adam Gray throughout the community. And I'm very happy to report we've been doing mobile office hours throughout the last month with our office in Turlock, and had consisted of 12 mobile office units last week. We continue to do so and be utilizing the Ceres chambers when appropriate for mobile office hours here as well. If anybody has any questions or concerns about any matters concerning the federal government, Congress, or casework, they're more than welcome to call our office, which is located in Turlock. The phone number is 209-226-6880. But certainly welcome to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or our website. Happy to provide any additional information. There's been new legislation introduced this week as related to tariffs and concerns about those, but I don't want to take away from the tenor of our council meeting on federal government issues. So if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. We will start with in-person comments. The first yellow card that I have is Nathan Sanchez. Come on up, sir.
My name is Nathan Sanchez, and Ceres is a city that I call home. Several months ago, there was an event called the Turkey Drive, where we collected turkeys for local field workers. But I don't want to emphasize specifically on the turkeys and the amount that were collected, but I want to emphasize on several individuals that partook in this event in raising and donating turkeys to our local field workers. It was Mayor Lopez, Councilman Martinez, Ceres Street Fair Board Member Lisa Montero, Councilwoman Ortero, Parks and Recreations Director Joey Chavez, and Fire Station number 18 under the leadership of Captain Spanny, Destiny and Gary Condon, and Ceres Chamber Director Randy Myers. But I'm not going to only stop there. Last week on Friday, there was an event that was spearheaded as well by the local lowrider community. And this event was called Cruise for Our Youth in the Barrios. And the emphasis of that was to have a lineup of classic cars and go through various neighborhoods here in the city of Ceres, and to pass out ice creams along with our police department. And the individuals that participated in that were Chief Johnson, Lieutenant Godfrey, Officer Beltran, Councilman Martinez, Councilwoman Vieira, Councilwoman Ortero, Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Board Director, and Dominic Martinez, the son of Councilman Martinez. The reason I brought up these individuals is because they have seen and they have known that a part of leadership in being an elected official for your constituents, and also in being a place of leadership as an employee of the city of Ceres, is not only to guide and to lead the city, but also to take a break from those everyday mundane duties and spend a little time with the constituents of the city. And I just want to express sincere thanks and appreciation, of course, for our police department and the beautiful job that you guys did on Friday. The minds and the hearts of the youth and the community that were motivated by seeing the lowrider community and the police department just come together. Not only that, but also the elected officials that were there and the elected officials that were there donating for the turkey drive. I know being an elected official, we don't always agree with you, and I'm one of the ones that doesn't as well. But I will put my differences aside, whatever they may be, and say thank you. Once again, be well.
Thank you very much. Okay. Now we can go with anybody in the audience that has comment for citizens communications, non-related to any items on the consent calendar.
Dave Predis Series. I would like to thank the ground crews that's been working on the dog park for a while. It's really starting to take shape. And I really, for a change, I don't have to complain about the gophers. And hopefully by the time it opens back up May 1st, all the bear area will be covered with grass again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
G. Igley Series. Somehow I didn't get killed at the corner. I'd like to know again from law enforcement, Chief Johnson, he's probably up on us. When do we get the money, the grant money, to start traffic control? Every intersection in this town, and I'm just Ceres because most of us just live in Ceres. It affects us in other cities all over the state. But we got to take care of our own. Every day, it doesn't matter if you're on either side of the freeway, north, south, east of town, if you're in a residential or if you're not, out in the country too. Everybody, well, not everybody, there's some decent citizens that don't do that. But most people, I wish I had a percentage for you, but most people run the stop signs. I come here 4 days a week. I can stand out there in the parking lot and I can't even count how many people run through there. By the police station over here, they run through that one too, over by the park. And that's just a couple of them. It's all over town. Have you known anybody that's got hit yet or injured? Again, we need to focus on our city and we need to find the money and we need traffic control. We haven't had it for a long time. There's only a couple officers that do that from what I understand. They don't send out sedans to do that, only motorcycle police officers. And they're only part-time. I'm sure they do a great job, but there's not enough. We have to stop this virus, this infection that we have in Ceres before somebody that you know, or I know, or these people behind me know get killed. And it's just a matter of time, like that old saying, it's just a matter of time, when and where. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person.
Hi, Sunny Guy, the Popeyes franchisee. I heard the good work that they're doing. Popeyes is going to commit 50 turkeys at Thanksgiving for them to distribute.
Awesome. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, seeing none. Anybody on Zoom?
There are no hands raised and there were no emails received.
Okay, public citizens communications is now closed. Is there anyone on the council that'd like to declare conflict of interest? Seeing none. All matters listed on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be enacted by a single motion unless otherwise requested by an individual council member or public for special consideration. Otherwise, the recommendation of staff will be accepted and acted by a roll call vote. Are there any items on the consent calendar that our council members would like to pull? Council member? At 10 is the hearing. 9? Is that the only one, council member? Okay, so 9. Any other council members? Any other item? Go out to the public. Any members of the public would like to pull an item? Say that one more time. 8. Oh, could you please come up to the podium and state your name, please? Thank you.
Shirley Rogers. Is
8.
that all you want?
Yes, ma'am. Appreciate you. Number 8 for the public. Anybody else? Anybody on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, I'll bring this item back.
I'll make a motion to approve items 1 through 7 of the consent calendar.
A second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Yes.
Councilmember Vieira,
Yes.
Councilmember Otero,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez.
Aye.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, we will start with item number 8.
I really hate to do this, but you constantly are telling us how broke Ceres is, and I'd like to know if you're going to sponsor the street fair, how much money do you plan on giving them cash?
Mr. Dunford?
So what's written in the staff report is we're giving him $5,000.
$5,000.
Why? After 30 plus years, it should be self-sufficient. Everything and everybody there pays something. The city should not have to be donating anything in cash. We give them the police department, the fire department, the street, the cleanup. They don't need the cash. I'd like to know if there's money left over from the street fair. Does it go for the next year or does it go into the city pot?
All the money left over, I mean, that's up to the street fair. We don't have anything that we're receiving from the street fair.
So they don't have a fund that any money left over goes into.
I think you could talk to Ms. Moore. She can explain to you where that money is, but it doesn't come to the city. It's geared towards nonprofits.
That's very confusing. But anyway, I hope the city will really talk this over and consider you can't just keep giving money away. You've already screwed us on the gazebo. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome back, Lisa.
With the city's permission, I'd like to explain a little bit of information about the Ceres Street Fair. Yes, it is a
Yes, ma'am.
501c3. The standalone, I'm Lisa Mantero Moore, representing the Ceres Street Fair this evening as this year's chair. The funding offered by the city of Ceres in this agreement is very helpful. It is true that we do use the downtown city streets, but we pay all our own expenses. And in this case, this year, we have to rely on outside security forces to assist us with our security this year, as the police department is understaffed and they have a number of responsibilities for the citizens of our community. So the donation made by the city of Ceres as a sponsor would assist us in freeing those costs. But as a reminder, we pay for the garbage, we pay for all the activities, we pay for the permitting. We don't ask the city for any giveaways, if you will, as the street fair. The funds that we raise each year for the street fair go back into the street fair each year. It pays for our sponsors. We have over 20,000 people that come to our community. And as a reminder to the people in the audience and on the Zoom, this is the 35th year of the Ceres Street Fair. The Ceres Street Fair was the continuation of the Ceres Peach Festival, for those of you that remember back then. And when the street fair was created, it was specifically created to bring business and interest to downtown Ceres and our nonprofits. The street fair is held to the traditions for the same 35 years, the same structure we've continued. The only difference is we're a 501c3 now and have been for the last 15 years. Specifically, all the food vendors that are at the street fair are our nonprofits, are our local nonprofits receiving the funds from those activities. So in addition to bringing 20,000 people downtown, use of our downtown hotels, our downtown business owners, the generosity of our local businesses for the inconvenience, if you will, for 3rd and 4th Streets and the extra activity, the food vendors are all our local nonprofits. The entertainment performers are our local residents. We have 2 car shows, both Saturday, a vintage car show, which has been going on for at least 25 years, if not more. And last year marked our very first lowrider car show on Sunday. We do a number of different things to meet the different needs of the community and our activities. We appreciate the city's generous support. We are very proud of the fact we've paid our own way the entire time. And we continue to manage the funds in that capacity as a nonprofit to keep our status up and to ensure that the community has what we promised them 35 years ago.
Thank you, Lisa. Anybody else? Seeing none. Anybody on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
I'll bring this item back to council. Discussion or motion?
I just want to say that, I appreciate what the street fair does. I know that they've got the Series Bulldogs, the Series Seahawks, they've got the Series Pups Wrestling Club. You've got CYB's baseball clubs. You've got Sizzle and Blaze out there, the Canine Association, the Police Officers Union, the Firefighters Association, all use that as a big fundraiser. Plus both high school booster clubs do a lot of their fundraising throughout the year at that event. So I appreciate what it does for us, for the community. With that, I will be making a motion to accept item number 8 of the consent calendar.
I have Councilmember Rosalinda would like to speak. We'll hold on the motion.
Oh, I promise second it, but let me put my, Shirley, I appreciate your comments. I truly value your comments. And I do agree that we are in very difficult financial times currently at the city. And we dealt with that with the budget last year. But at the same time, I think it's important that we do support our youth. I don't think that youth should be having to pay or increase their fees when it comes to being part of the various clubs and being involved in activities. I'd rather see them involved in baseball or soccer, or some of these other clubs with our community center and our recreation department that Joey oversees, and these organizations like Martinez had mentioned. So at the same time, I want to make sure that we're supporting our youth, even at a cost of $5,000. If it's going to keep one youth going down the wrong road, I think it's a good investment at this point in time, because I think our youth are a valuable asset to our community in the future. So yes, Daniel, I'm happy to second your motion if there's no other council member that would like to speak.
Yeah, I just would like to ask Doug, I asked you this question. This item was budgeted already?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just want to make sure the public knew that. That was the question that I had asked. And there's nothing else I would like to say. There's a first and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Yes.
Councilmember Vieira,
Yes.
Councilmember Otero,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez,
Aye.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item number 9, Councilmember Vieira.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess with the tree grant, I love the idea. There was a couple of questions I had. One was, did the cost cover the arborist? I had noticed that in there, there's some need for ongoing care, and I wanted to see if that was going to be covered and how we were covering the other costs that are associated outside of the grant. And if we were going to be purchasing the trees locally in Stanislaus County, I don't necessarily mean series, although we may have some great suppliers here in town if possible. I would like to try to keep that kind of money here in the city, or at least within the county if they're not provide that variety. But I think my biggest question is the cost of the arborist that's going to be associated with taking care of these 1,300 trees.
Councilmember Vieira, thank you for your question. Yes, our arborist, he's on staff. It's our park supervisor, Kenny Vaughn, who's the arborist. So parks will be overseeing that, those trees. Also, trees we purchase locally.
Perfect, thank you. And is he going to be available, or is he's not looking at retirement or any kind of leave or anything like that?
I make sure he won't leave until the trees are all planted.
Just clarifying.
I just want to make sure that we had someone on staff, because I know there was a couple that looking at retirement and other stuff. And so I think that was my biggest concern. And there was also in there about using West Coast arborists in there. And is that also covered under the grant, or is that something coming out of our general fund?
Yes, everything in the grant is covered.
Thank you.
Ms. Vieira, this is Sam. I just wanted to make one thing clear, that the West Coast Arborists is our contract. The city has a contract with West Coast Arborists.
And is that going to be budgeted in future budgets, or is that something that we're looking at renegotiating or cutting?
Well, I think their contract is up this summer. So there's an RFP that is going out right now, trying to solicit a new vendor, possibly West Coast might be the lowest bidder.
Okay, so it's not something that we're at risk of losing. I just want to make sure we have the proper staffing to take care of the 13.
Yeah, that definitely would be covered. Yes, no matter who the arborist we choose, that'll be the person, or that'll be the company that would help us through the grant and picking up the trees.
Okay, perfect. And I appreciate you shopping local.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate it. Thank you again for your answers, both of you, or all three of you too, because I dug into this too.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Joey, you said all the trees will be purchased locally. Is that going to be local as in the city of Ceres or just local to the county?
Local, it'll be local in the county.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any members of the public would like to comment on this item? Please walk up to the podium.
Uniquely Ceres. Great idea about the trees. The number is 1,300, correct? Somewhere in there. So as an arborist, they must be concerned about the health issue of whatever they take care of, trees. So those 1,300 trees, if they're saplings or whatever you call them, newborn trees, and they're planted, who's going to take care of them? Is that part of the arborist's job to make sure to go that circumference of those 1,300 trees and make sure they're growing right and they're healthy and they might need food or some kind of something in the ground to where they have a good life? Is that part of the arborist's job, or is that just going to be left alone and you just water?
Yeah.
As right now, all the city trees are on our inventory, so they're on a database. So all the 1,300 trees will be included in that database, and the city would take ownership of them.
They'll take ownership of them, but servicing the trees to where they mature to full growth or whatever that goes with a particular tree. Sometimes they need special treatment and stuff. I mean, there's people in my neighborhood, and that's part of, it's different when it's on city property, but when you have an easement on your home and there's your tree dies because it's on the easement, the city has told me in the past, maybe it's changed, but I doubt it, that you're responsible for the tree. If it died, they told me that I would be responsible for a new tree. If it was sick or something, I was responsible for getting somebody to find out what's wrong with it. I'd have to feed it. They wouldn't do nothing else. I had to take care of the tree, but it's on the easement, so it's part of the city. So I don't think I really got the answer. The city's responsible for the trees, but I wanted more detail. Are they going to review these trees while they're young to make sure they're nurtured and they're healthy? That's all I want to know. Do they feed them? What's the process? You just don't stick them in the ground and walk away, do you?
Well, we do our best trying to address all the new trees that we plant throughout the city. Like I said, they're put on the database. We have a database for each of the tree, so they'll be numbered. And when the tree matures, we'll put them on a grid system, the grid prune system that we have going right now, and those will be included as well.
Again, that's part of what I wanted to know. Do they go around on these new trees? Even though it's on the database, I can understand that. Do they physically go around and look at these areas where these trees are at to make sure they're okay?
I mean, just like any new trees that we plant, we make sure that the tree would have time to establish. And once it start to get, once the trunk line of that tree gets a little bigger, we definitely monitor these trees on a weekly, maybe monthly basis.
All right, that's what I want to know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else?
John Warren, City of Ceres. Right now, the city has an inventory of trees, and they take care of them on a rotation basis. How often, or refresh my memory on the process with one section of town or another section of town, there's 3 or 4 or 5 grids that the city is servicing these trees. So how many grids do we have?
Currently, we have 5 different zones.
So every 5 years, a grid gets taken care of.
Correct.
So for the other 4 years, they don't get taken care of.
Correct, because when the tree is balanced, it takes about 5 years to start growing up to where it need to be rebalanced again.
My point is, we're planting the trees, but we really don't have a good maintenance program for trimming and taking care of them. Several years ago, when the budget was having problems,
Mr.
like
Warren,
it's having now,
we're just talking about the grant itself, not tree pruning or anything else, because these trees are far away from having to be pruned. So we got to get back. We're talking about the grant itself.
maybe
Accept
we
it.
shouldn't accept the grant because we can't take care of the trees after we plant them. And that's evidenced by what's gone on in the past. I hate to say don't accept money or don't accept trees, but if we can't take care of them in the future, we shouldn't be planting them right now. So that's my point. Consider that, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. Appreciate it. Anybody else? Excuse me, anybody on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, bring this item back.
Make a motion to approve item number 9 of the consent calendar.
I'll second that.
Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Casey,
No.
Councilmember Vieira,
Yes.
Councilmember Otero,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez,
Aye.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-1.
Moving on to a public hearing. Note that the public hearing is being continued to an undetermined date. Resolution number 2025, denying the appeal of Planning Commission approval for conditional use permit application number 2409 CUP for a Maverick fueling station located at the southwest corner of Mitchell Road and Road in Ceres, California, APN 041018007.
Excuse me, Mayor. I do have a conflict of interest for the Maverick gas station appeal because I did participate as the planning commissioner during the planning commission approval, so I'm going to recuse myself.
No problem. Thank you. There will be no presentation, but we will open up the public hearing now. If there's anyone in the chambers that would like to comment on this item, now is the time.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. I'm Diane Kinderman with the law firm of Abbott and Kinderman, and I represent the applicant in this matter. I understand the matter is being continued. I would like to just mention 3 brief items, if I might, for you to consider during this hiatus while we are waiting for this to be rescheduled. Before I do that, I would love to thank your wonderful staff for being so helpful and cooperative. We had quite a few requests for documents. They were prompt, professional, and very gracious with us, and we appreciate that very much. City attorney's been great answering questions, so thank you very much. I'd like to thank everyone and just get that out of the way first. So very quickly, my comments are in the letter, but I just want to underscore a couple of CEQA items here. The first item, and it's mentioned in our letter, is in the staff report itself. It is problematic in that its conclusions, its findings are not substantiated with any evidence to support their findings. So for example, they made a finding that the project was consistent with 2 other CEQA documents, but there's no evidence or explanation to support that. And that's a violation of CEQA, unfortunately. The other finding that was made was that not only was there consistency, but there was also with the underlying documents, but also with the mitigation programs. And once again, there is no evidence in those conclusions to support the conclusions made. So when they're doing CEQA findings, they require supporting evidence and even kind of citations to the records, to the documents to which they're referring. That's the first problem we want to bring up, and we'd like you to consider that as, once again, while we're in this hiatus. The other thing, more importantly, is the 2 CEQA documents relied upon are not programmatic, And the guidelines cited to by staff in the staff report refers to findings made based on programmatic CEQA documents. Because these were not programmatic and they were project-specific CEQA documents, they never analyzed the impacts of this particular project. So if you're going to approve this project, you want to make sure that you're approving it with CEQA analysis. There is basically a fiction here because the documents they relied on didn't analyze anything related to this site because they weren't programmatic. Programmatic just means that they're looking at perhaps a whole area or a whole series of similar uses. That's not what happened here. So those are prejudicial and concerning to us. And I'd like you just to think about that. We'll work with your city attorney, see if anybody has any questions, but please think that as we proceed. And just the final comment is the traffic study that was provided. We haven't had a chance to review it. I understand you just received it on Friday as well. It's dated 3 months after your approval. So it doesn't matter what it says, you can't rely on it for your project approval, which happened in November. You have to go back, well, approve the appeal, unfortunately our appeal, approve our appeal, deny the use permit, go back. If the applicant chooses to resubmit the project, then put that in your record, then make your decision. It is not part of the record. It doesn't matter because you've already made the decision. It's after the fact. So whatever it says, that's terrific. You can't use it to support your findings and your approval of the project. So having said that, those are our comments. If you have any questions, we're here right now. No? All right. Thank you again, and thanks again to staff. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? I do have a yellow card. Joe? Sambra?
Thank you. Mayor and City Council, everybody who's here tonight. I actually want to add on a little bit to that. I represent Gateway Car Wash. So one thing I want to address is traffic. What we've noticed at our site is, the overpass is not done and we've had some median changes and we're getting blocked in. So you're bringing in more traffic from the south. We're really concerned about that impact on us. And so think about getting through that first before you guys add more business to the area. Our tax dollars have been going towards that for a very long time. So if you're letting somebody cut in line literally at the exit, and benefit, what are we going to do? We're also noticing a lot of accidents happen on the road in front of us as well, because again, the overpass is not done. We're constantly complaining about that. So that needs to be addressed first, then maybe approve or do whatever you need to do. Number two, I've read from some opinions in the Courier that, if businesses want to be here, they should be here because it's a free market. Well, one of the important things for a small town like us, and even for a country like us, something our president's doing right now, is protecting business. So when you allow businesses to come in and monopolize the area, like you did with Quick Clack, not really understanding how they monetize their business, they set up a network. Small businesses can't compete with that network. You guys approved it. They get valued higher. Private equity comes in and puts money behind them. We can't compete with that. They advertise. We don't have billions of dollars to compete with that. So what you're doing is you're incentivizing a network. We can't compete with that. You mentioned shop local earlier. Well, shop local. Stop shopping national. I'm sure you can figure out some other things to do, especially when you look at the traffic plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
William Rossi, 3221 Redwood Road. It's at the corner of the frontage road, and Redwood dead ends into it. I was at your planning department today, and I was able to get a plot plan of this proposed fueling station. And whether you approve it or disapprove it, I think it's just in the wrong place. Nothing against private enterprise and fueling stations, but as you know, the Mitchell interchange is a total disaster already, with trucks backing up and blocking the intersection where Road goes in. But I think before you deny it approval or whatever, based on this plot plan, you've got entering and leaving that property right at the south end of the property, which is basically at the county line. And this whole road from the intersection all the way to Redwood and beyond is already a double yellow line. It's like a snake. And you can't see going in and out of this portion of the road. And if you're going to pull an 80,000 pound, 70-foot truck across 3 or 4 lanes on a foggy day, you're just going to have nothing but disaster. I just think it's in the wrong place. But if down the road you do approve it, where they have the in and out at the middle, I would abandon the southern in and out, because the S-turn just comes around, you go over the canal bridge, and you're right there. And the speed limit right now with the county is 55 miles an hour. And those cars are going way faster than that. And on a foggy day or a regular day, when you come around that turn, you're going to smack right into them. And I think you're just opening yourself to endless lawsuits, personal injury, and poor planning. But I just think it's in the wrong way. But if you do down the road approve it, I think the center in and out access to it should have a signal, so you can stop the traffic, so these long 70, 80-foot rigs can go on and go left or right. If you do approve it down the road, I think you should put a contingent that they're not allowed to go down Redwood Road or Esmar Road to get to Faith Home Road, which is the truck route. Because those are just farm roads. You can barely get 2 cars beside them. But at this point, there's no restrictions. I've asked the county to put stop signals at Redwood and the frontage road, because it's very dangerous even to try to make a left turn, because they come out of that blind S-turn. And the traffic increases, with the Walmart and the development, it's really increasing every year. So anyway, I just think it's in the wrong place. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next person, please. Seeing none. Anybody on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom. We did receive an email that we will include in the record, and we will read that aloud when this public hearing comes back to council.
Okay, just want to make sure no one's out there that wanted to speak. This public hearing is now closed. Bringing this item back to the council for any discussion or questions. No discussion because it's being moved on. Okay, with that being said, we are now moving on. Thank you very much, everybody, for spending the time to come down here and speak. Thank you very much for the input. Oh, let's go ahead and bring the council member back. She's probably wondering. What was that? Let's go ahead and take a 5. Some council members may need to use the restroom. Thank you, everybody. Take Taking a 5.
Welcome back.
Let's start. Attention, everybody. We are getting ready to start. Welcome back, everyone. Moving on to discussion items. Okay. If we can please have a quiet room, everybody in the back, thank you so much. City Council to provide direction on advertising for public hearings. Looks like the city clerk is going to do this presentation. It's been a while since you've done one.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. At the February 10th City Council meeting, Council gave consensus for staff to bring back an item seeking direction from Council regarding the advertisement of public hearings. Currently, staff follows the California Government Code, which requires all public hearings have a public notice published in a newspaper of general circulation of the city. It's at Council's discretion to have staff do more than just what the Government Code states. So majority of public hearings require public notice to be published in a newspaper at least 10 days prior to the public hearing. However, there are some public hearings that require 20 days or longer of a notice. So there's a number of ways that staff can increase the communications and advertisement of public hearings. All of the options that are listed in the staff report will cause additional staff time, and some of which will cost additional money. The items that are listed in the staff report are advertising on the city's website. This is an option that would not come at an additional cost, but would come at additional staff time. Advertising on city social media platforms. Again, this would take additional staff time, but there would not be any additional cost. We can also do additional newspaper publications, and depending on which newspaper we select, that can run anywhere from $110 to $475 per publication. The last option is a utility bill notice. This option can be problematic. Timing is going to be our biggest challenge. It does require at least a 4-week advance notice to provide the utility bill inserts. And with the lead time of 4 weeks, there's going to be oftentimes where we can't meet that deadline. This would be quite a bit of staff time, and it would come at a cost of at least $1,700 per notice that we include in the utility bill. And timing, the perfect example would be tonight's public hearing. If we were to have sent out, let's use the utility bill notice example for tonight's public hearing. If we sent one out in the utility bill notice stating there's a public hearing on April 14th, and quite later in the game, the public hearing is going to be continued. Let's say it's continued for the next meeting. That's only 2 weeks away. We would not have a way of including a utility bill notice stating the new date of the public hearing. So with those options, I can turn it over to council to have a discussion on what they feel is best in moving forward, and I'm here for any questions.
Okay, from what it looks like, we'll do the public hearing first. So we'll open it up for anybody in the chambers that would like to comment on this item. Please step up to the podium. There will be. We need to go to them first.
Public hearings, John Warren, City of Ceres. More notice is definitely needed for the public to be aware that a hearing is going to take place on a certain item. Posting it on the bulletin board down at City Hall doesn't probably cut it. It is what meets the requirements to meet the requirements, but it's not adequate for the public to know what's going on. So the social media sites that are available out there through Facebook are definitely good avenues to pursue. A little staff time, but not a lot of cost to the city. trying to line up something in the local newspaper probably isn't going to work. And tonight is a good example of that because the public hearing for the service station there by the freeway didn't serve a purpose. People are going to come and nothing's going to happen. It's going to get postponed, at least the vote or whatever. So it's probably better to use social media sites to advance the knowledge of a certain public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Anybody else?
Good evening. I just want to say, as chamber president, I know how difficult it is to get the word out. We try through social media, we try through Ceres Courier, we try through our website, and it's probably one of the hardest things that we have. We'll do an event and somebody will come after and say, we didn't know about it. We don't know what else to say. So all I say is, do the best you can. But I want to thank Fallon. She did contact me about the Love Series proclamation. I appreciate that so much. Just a little bit of direct contact. If someone's going to be on an agenda, especially, please make sure that they're notified so that they can be here. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Uniquely serious. On the utility bill that comes out every month, is there a possibility, I know it's rather small, is there a possibility they can dedicate a section, a quarter to city business? I mean, I know everybody knows when they get their bill, it's pretty well filled up. Could we go to a little larger format? Of course, that'd be more paper and more, but I don't know what the expense would be in the long run in a year's time. But if we could get that out, at least we know it goes to their house. A lot of people don't care about, well, even that, a lot of people don't care about what goes in the city. That's obvious. We see that twice a month. And they don't read. I hope they write stuff, but I mean, they just don't care. The average citizen just does not care. They think you five people are going to take care of everything that comes before them. But only God can do that, right? So if they can find another avenue to dedicate a certain section to the utility bill, and possibly it might have to make that paper a little bit bigger and maybe go to a different size envelope, but at least we know, like, people get a utility bill, they know they got to pay it, or they do online, but the utility bill, I would assume, I don't know what the circulation is. Maybe the city clerk could tell us what the circulation is on how many bills they send out every month. But once it's in there, they have no excuse to come to the city council and say, well, I didn't see that, whatever. They're reading their bill, they're knowing what they're paying for, so it's right in front of them. So I think that should be considered, and that could last for many years. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
Right, we'll bring this back to the council. I have Vice Mayor and then Councilmember Vieira and Otero in that order.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Fallon, when you said, posting on social media, doing the freeways, those are definitely things I would consider doing. But just the figures you gave out, if we were to do the cheaper newspaper at $120, you're looking at $14.40. No, it'd be more than that, right? Because it'd be bi-weekly, because we'd have two council meetings, and then it'd be closer to $9,000. If we did, you said, adding it to the monthly billing, it'd be $1,700 per home.
It would be 17 for the utility bills. Would be $1,700 per notice.
Per home, right? So then we're looking at $20,000 a year times however many homes are receiving it.
So
Just
for
a one time.
instance, if the utility bill goes out this month, one notice in all 13,000 utility bills, it would be a $1,700 charge.
Right. So then there'd be $20,000 a year just to do it with the utility bills. So I couldn't support the additional $20,000 there. I think, sharing on the community Facebook pages, sharing on our social media, finding free avenues and ways that it might cost a little bit more staff time, but not fiscally having to pay that amount, I could support. But the price tag on putting in the utility bill or even adding it to the newspapers, I couldn't support.
Okay, Councilmember Vieira.
Thank you. And I appreciate whoever brought this to the agenda, because I think this is a good discussion that we do need to have. And I know Casey brings it up, and I think almost every meeting about the lack of communication. I I asked, one of the things I was thinking is similar to how our council meeting, you can subscribe to get text messages and emails. If we could do that, because I don't always, it doesn't automatically come up on my Facebook and Instagram and all of the other social media platforms I'm on. I have to go looking for it. And I subscribe and follow all of them, but unless I go and look for it, it doesn't come up on my algorithm. So that means it's not coming up on everyone else's algorithms. And I do a lot of city business, so you would think it would flag probably the 5 of us first, and it's not. So if it's not flagging the 5 of us who are doing a lot of city business, to me, that indicates that other people that live in the city are definitely not getting the notices that are on Facebook unless we start paying for them and that kind of stuff. So I didn't know if it was possible, because I know I would subscribe so that way I knew there was something on Facebook and I need to go look for it, because I don't know to go look for it now. I usually end up reading it when Jeff puts something in his editorial saying, hey, I saw this was going on. I'm like, hey, that would have been really cool to know before Jeff tells me. So I don't know if that, and I'm assuming there wouldn't be, I don't know what the cost is to have something like we do now with the RFPs and the council meetings that go out. And then the other thing was not necessarily doing the mailing of the utility bills. I get mine electronically. So I get mine around the 10th of every month. I just looked. That's how to make sure what day I get mine on. And it comes electronically. So I don't know if there's an additional cost or if we can do something where the same people that subscribe for the emails, for the bills, can also be subscribed or get attached to that email that goes out on the 10th, the same announcements or whatever that we need to send out. And if, or even whether it's like a newsletter or just links, hey, even on the page, like you had mentioned, a quarter section that just says, hey, check out what's going on in Ceres, visit the webpage and the webpage. But we have to be consistent about making sure we're using that same webpage, because right now on social media, I think we have about 5 different departments, and I don't always know which one to go look for what. Usually I go to Joey for community events is usually where I start, and then I go from there because he's pretty good about sharing everyone else's. So sorry, I try to talk with my hands, but it's tied down with this sling, so it's kind of entertaining here. So those are just kind of my ideas when it comes to trying to find low cost options that are available, because again, we're on tight budgets and a lot of times we're not doing print. I don't always have time to sit there and read everything that comes my way. So if we can just kind of put some of that out there and saying, hey, this is what's out there, check every Monday, we're going to be putting new announcements out. Or if we have a specific day that we know we're going to be putting announcements out, because you said if it has to be out 10 days before the council meeting, then check 2 weeks before or 10 days before, whatever. And if we have those dedicated days, then everyone knows I need to check on the 1st, or I need to check on the 15th, or I need to check on this date for whatever events are coming up. And I think Doug's pretty good about his timelines for council meetings. And if we kind of have the same thing when it comes to public announcements online, that might be an option. Then we know that we're not trying to constantly go fishing if there's no fish in the lake. And those are my ideas. Thank you.
Councilmember Terrell.
Thank you. So thank you, Fallon, for bringing some options to us and having this discussion. I think utilizing the city website is going to be really important. I see that on the agenda center, people can subscribe to the email or text message, which I think is a wonderful option, but we need a way to get that information out in the meantime so people can learn where to sign up for some of these notifications. And back to the social media, I think it's huge. Having multiple departments with social media might kind of cause an issue for the following. As we start creating a following, it's gonna probably have to be off the main city hall page. And then you have like your recreation and definitely your police department have their own. Because like Councilmember Vieira said, you know, the algorithm and everything, we want people to get used to that information popping up on their feed. Definitely the newspaper would be costly. You know, maybe there'll be times that we may have to put something in the newspaper, some special meeting that we feel everybody needs to be aware of, everyone needs to be present. I think it could be an option, but not long term. And also, I know with the social media, we've talked about, I know I've talked to city manager about having like a social media person, but that's obviously costly. So I don't know, maybe there are volunteers at either like the Stand Stay or MJC who are going to media school that might be able to come in and do some volunteer work and create templates and things like that for us. I feel that could be an option as well. But definitely the social media, the website, is going to be helpful for everyone.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There were two things that I wanted to improve the communication on, and we didn't touch on those, City Clerk. The one was the notice to property owners only. So it would be like when you run your campaign for Congress. You send everything to property owners, you're going to eliminate the input from a lot of people. So that was one thing that I brought up, and it wasn't, you didn't bring that up then. You know, apparently at this time, maybe during budget, we can look for more money, but the minimum that should happen is if it's a 300-yard state thing, and send it to everybody that lives within 300 yards. The other issue is communication. In my office, I live in Ceres. I'm a city council person. But in my office, Julian sends, not on purpose maybe, but he's a person that works for me, has a Ceres address, but doesn't live in the city of Ceres, notifications, he passes that on to me, then I can go to the web page and find it. But the point is, within the tools that we have now, and without a lot of extra expense, I'm certain that we can get the material information out to people. But again, the big issue is we send property owners, and you know, the previous case years ago, I guess, the people that live on the other side of Hatch, their mailing address is Modesto. So whoever was sending out the messages saw that they lived in Modesto, and so therefore they didn't get the notices, even though they fell within the 300 yards. I think all we have to do is take a deep breath, look at how we're doing things. We can change it a little bit at a time. But, you know, again, the social media, when I first became on the council, and I haven't approved a lot, the mayor brought to my attention things that I didn't know anything about. And I'm learning more about it. But again, somebody in my office that has a Ceres address that lives in the country gets a notice about activities in the city. I then look on the city webpage and I see it. And again, the other big issue for me is the property, the renters, the voters, the taxpayers that live in the proximity of something that you need to send a public notice. Send it to everybody that lives in that 300 yards, a quarter of a mile, whatever the minimum requirement is. Think about that word that we use, the minimum requirement. The city of Ceres deserve more than the minimum requirement. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Martinez. Would you like? I had some comments. Would you like to go first?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just had one thing just to follow up what Councilmember Otero said. Maybe because I do feel like a lot of departments have social media, it gets bogged down. Dedicating one department to manage social media, and then having someone in that department delegated the work. And then I wanted to ask, is it possible to maybe have a booth, the street fair, and have somebody there dedicated to help the citizens sign up to get text messages and get emails and make them aware of those services so they can receive the agenda information?
Okay, so I agree with the council in regards to the website, social media. I believe on some one-offs, the Ceres Career, the Modesto B is way too expensive. Not too sure about the utility bill. That's a little costly. I can understand that. Will this be budgeted? Anything that we decide on today, will it be budgeted in the next budget if we decide to move on with some of these items?
It's going to be really hard to predict budget for this because we don't know how many public hearings we're going to get. We're not sure how many notifications we're going to have to put out for the 300-foot lines or anything else. So, I mean, it would be a guess to say, you know, 'cause we can go back and say how many public hearings we put out this year. We can make a wild guess about that, but
That's fair.
we can't predict how many we're going to put out for next year.
And I don't know if Brandy can answer this question. We're members of the Chamber of Commerce as a city, correct? So is it possible that we could use their email blast to send out? Is it appropriate? That would be great, right? No, it's free, right? As a member? So you want to step up to the podium just because, don't make that joke, please.
Yes, no, the City of Ceres is as a member for the chamber, and part of being membership is that we would provide social media e-blast to our membership. We'll put it up in our office, whatever you need.
That's great. And
Real quick, if you don't mind, to answer Daniel Martinez, we will have an information booth at the street fair. I'm also on that committee. So there is an information booth that we will have on that corner on, I think it's 3rd and Lawrence. So I'm sure we can put something there too for people to sign up if you
that'd be
wish
great.
to do so.
I really do appreciate that. And that's the only questions I had, Brandy. Thank you.
Ask her a quick.
Oh, I'm sorry.
related to your question.
Councilmember actually has a
Maybe
question. Sorry.
Just that way, because I think I have it on my phone, but I don't think they have it on their calendar. What's the deadline to get it before you send the email out? Because I know there's a date and time that I have to have it for my business to your email.
For the e-blast?
For the e-blast.
Well, she does it every 2 weeks.
What's the deadline? I don't remember. Okay.
That's Amy.
I know
That's
there's a deadline that I have to submit it to Amy in order to get it on there.
Yeah, that would be an admin question. I can find out and email you, but we do it every 2 weeks, so we can do it as many times as you want. You can do it every month if you'd like.
Okay. Thank you very much.
If I
And
may,
that will be at no cost. Go ahead.
if I may, the clerk's office will work with the Chamber of Commerce to see logistically if that even will work. Because every 2 weeks is great, but there's times where, we know 11 days in advance and we're rushing to put it in the Modesto B, and we don't have time to, perhaps make their next deadline. So I think sometimes that will work, but logistically, if we have a last minute continuation of a public hearing, we won't have the opportunity to put it in the e-blast again for the next public hearing date.
Okay. And finally, let's just 2 more items. So Alaya had also mentioned a text messaging program, and I didn't see that in here. Just to follow up to Councilmember Casey's question about the property owners, what do we do now? Is it 300? Is it 300 feet that when we give out property owners around the surrounding area that need notification?
So public hearings.
I'm sorry, I said feet, but 300 yards.
Public hearings, we notice in the newspaper, we don't necessarily send out based on a certain radius. Community development, certain projects they have do require that, and I'll defer to the city attorney and the community development director on that.
To be additional use permits.
Additional use permits, okay. That's a state requirement. I'm sorry.
It's a state requirement.
Okay, but specific to what you said, right?
We do it for all items that are public hearings, so site plan approvals, conditional use permits, tentative maps, anything that's we consider a public hearing. We also notice for consent items in the event that they are pooled. So we do a 300-foot radius around the property of the sites. So if you have a very large property, it's the edge of the property 300 feet from the edge of where the project's going to be. So anything that we put out at Planning Commission, we do that.
Okay, thank you very much. So those questions that are being asked by the council and will need to be brought back, right? Because obviously you need to do more research depending on what the direction is.
Well, we're looking for direction from council on which items they would like to maybe move forward with. Based on that, I'll work with the city attorney's office on how we'll memorialize that and bring that back, whether that's through the municipal code, through the council rules and procedures. But one suggestion that council may want to consider is even a trial period of, I don't know, hypothetically 3, 4, 5 months of trying out A, B, and C, or whichever options you guys select to see, are we getting more of a presence in the audience? And if we are, then perhaps continue that and make it permanent. And if we aren't maybe seeing much of a increase and it's staying more so the same, council may want to reconsider. And that's just a suggestion for you guys.
So you're suggesting like such as a pilot program, kind of make it, we'll set a date, 3 months, 6 months, and see how it goes.
Yeah,
see what
I
the
would
cost
think that
is.
we would bring it back saying staff will begin doing, like I said, A, B, and C, or whatever it may be. We'll memorialize it appropriately, working with the city attorney's office and placing a timeline on that to then come back to council and say, we've had so many public hearings, we've done these items for each one. And we've seen, you know, attendance both online and in person at this number in comparison to past.
Okay. I'll go back to the council for any additional comments before we give direction. Councilmember?
Sorry, one more thing. Just to Councilmember Casey's point on the property notices, have we checked how other cities handle their notifications for the notices that need to go out to property owners?
Again, I'll defer that to community development since that's the department that is required to send out notices based on a certain radius of properties.
Yeah, so the state law requires that you use either the tax roll or in some cases the voter roll. So that's where I think most cities are getting their property owner information.
Okay, but I guess I'm just for clarification, like what is another city's process in getting the notification out aside from where they're pulling the addresses from?
So I'll use a larger city. I used to work in the city of San Jose, and the council developed the policy based on project type. For a general plan amendment, they wanted to see a noticing radius of 1,000 feet. For a smaller project, a conditional use permit that really only affects the immediate neighborhood, they said we wanted to see only a noticing radius of 500 feet. We did it in multiple languages. In a smaller city where I worked in, we did the same thing. Different projects that may affect more people, a general plan amendment, a zone change where you feel like the reach is farther. The council developed a policy that said for these certain projects, we expect to see a noticing radius of X amount of feet. For things that really are, like if you are living next to someone who's subdividing their property, somebody 1,000 feet away may not have such a vested interest in that project, so they chose to have a smaller noticing radius as long as it complied with state law. So at a minimum, it was always 3, and then based on the project, there was a varying degree of distances based on what they felt the reach of the project could be. So you could develop a list based on all of our entitlements, projects that have a greater effect on the community. You could request that they be noticed for, 1,000 feet. And all those costs, obviously, we would, and then other cities have passed on to the applicant. It's just part of doing business. If you have, 500 mailers versus 200 mailers, that cost in stamps and materials goes up. So we do charge that delta if the state law is 3 and you have set a policy for 1,000, whatever the delta in addresses is, we would ask that they pay that overage. And that would be included in your policy.
Thank you. So it almost sounds like we kind of have like 2 different topics going on. And eventually we probably need to revisit the property notices and maybe start putting that into the charges to the developers.
They're already included.
They are included. Okay.
And if I may, I did send out an email. I belong to a city clerk listserv through the League of California Cities. It sends out an email to every city clerk throughout the state of California or board clerk throughout the state of California asking what their city's rules are on noticing for public hearings and if they're more stringent than what the government code states. I did receive minimal responses, and I believe there was only one that did have of which responded that have more strict rules, and that is they publish in the newspaper 14 days in advance as opposed to 10. Not that that's very helpful for you, but just so you know that we did reach out to try and see what other cities were doing.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I think the majority of cities rely on their website. So everybody knows there's one central location instead of going, well, do I go to Facebook? Do I go to the newspaper? Do I go wait for the mailer to come in or what? Because it's already been discussed a couple of times. With the mailers come in, if it's an advertisement or a second piece besides a bill, it gets tossed. And so I think if we had our IT come together and put just one central city website, then we could rely on that to start with.
Councilmember Vieira, you had your button pressed.
Yeah, I was kind of going back to, I guess, the second topic, like Antero had mentioned regarding the notice to landowners versus renters, because I know that's what Casey's initial question was regarding. And I just want to confirm, because you had said landowners, because we're currently not noticing the renters. Is that correct on notices? And then my second question, which is two-part, which is probably yes or no, and I think you answered it, is the responsibility, it's from what I've heard on previous, falls on the project applicant and our manager that's handling it, and it's not really necessarily falling on us. And the bill isn't directly affecting our overall budget.
So for first question, renter, we only can pull from information where there's data available. So GIS or when people use the title agency to pull addresses, if the owner of the property is listed on title, that's who it goes to. In a prior city, we had the ability to just change it to resident. Whether you're the owner or the resident, it would go to that address of record. But if we don't have that person, a way to gather that information, I don't exactly know how the title company pulls their information. I would imagine when you have a city that has a good GIS, it pulls ownership. It doesn't pull the renter, but we don't have a way to necessarily gather that information, which is why it typically goes to the owner, and that letter may go to somebody who lives out of the state, out of the city, because the owner of record, that's the data we have. I don't know if we have a way to just pull that direct address. I don't know how the title company works. And then we have baked into our application fees some noticing, but that noticing will only cover right now 300 feet since that is our policy. If we want to go above that, our application fees don't cover that. So we would ask the applicant to cover that, or we absorb it. I don't know if we can create that fee without resolution, but I don't know how we would absorb that other than just saying, hey, you need to pay this bill. And if that doesn't run afoul of anything, that's probably what we would do. Put it back on the applicant.
I think that's what started initially this conversation, was landowner or renter wasn't aware. I think that happened more on Service or Morgan and Whitmore when that development went through. And the renters behind were upset that they weren't properly notified of the meeting for the public hearing in regards to that construction, which is why these two are kind of intersorted and tied together, even though they're kind of two subject matters, but yet they're the same. Because even this came up again with the O'Reilly's opening. A couple people are like, why didn't I know that there was an O'Reilly's, and why do we have another O'Reilly's? And I'm like, we had a couple meetings on this and it came before the public, and they're like, why didn't I know? And so it's something that comes up every time a new business opens, every time we see new construction. And so ultimately, I think that's where this ties in. It's like, okay, well, then you need to be here, like these three gentlemen, and usually, and we have Brandy here and a few other individuals here, and then usually we have Shirley Rogers as well. And we need to have them here so we can get their input. But the best way, how do we contact them to let them know that their input is valued and we listen to them? But we need them here in order for me to hear them. And ultimately, I think that's kind of where I think Casey was kind of going with. And I think that's kind of what we're all wanting to know, because we want to make sure we're making the right decisions for our voters here in Ceres. And how do we get that information to them before a large construction site happens in front of them?
Mr. Mayor, if I could just speak for, I know on our website we have Notify, and working with the manager, city manager, and Fallon. I know I use it personally because I'm a resident of Ceres. I go in there and you click the information that you want to be notified. We can update it. It's very useful. I get the notices. I got the notice for today's public hearing. The update that was issued gets directly text or emailed. I think that's something that council should take a look at for us to use. We're already paying for it. How can we make it more beneficial to our community? If it's a public hearing, they can go in there and check public hearing for new businesses. And there's a whole slew of information that the citizens can check. They get text or emailed. And then it would be just the direction from the city council to get that updated on a regular basis. I think the system's already here. We already have it. I would suggest that we continue to utilize it. We're already paying for it. And then it would just be how to get our citizens, either with a QR code that we could use at the street fair and any community events, to get our citizens linked to it. I know myself, I send out email blasts for city council meetings, public hearing meetings on a regular basis as I get them. I have an email list And every new business that comes into the city gets an email blast with a link to the Facebook page or Instagram. And now they get one for Notify Me, so they can go in there and sign up for notifications for the city.
So maybe what we need to do is start a campaign for everything you just said right now. Does the app have that ability to do the same thing with Notify or My Series app? Yes.
It's on the website. It just goes to Notify Me and it says, and you enter your email address and your phone number, and then it goes in. So I don't know how it works, or I don't know who's the.
So I know our app mirrors the website. So I don't know if there's a feature on the app already.
The app, I believe, would show if we place it on the calendar or we do a community spotlight for it. The
so it is
Notify
on there.
Me that Julian's speaking of, you'll get either an email or you'll get a text message, whichever one you sign up for whichever subjects that you check that you're interested in getting information on.
Yeah, because I asked about the text messaging, but if it's already happening, there's Notify Me is on the app. I'm looking at it now. Maybe just like everybody is here, we're saying the same thing about how we're marketing this to the public. I think we do a decently good job. I think the reason why Parks and Recs is so impactful is because everybody really pays attention to the events that are happening in our community, and they repost City of Sirius things all the time that are unrelated to Parks and Recs. So maybe we just need that should be a focus. Yeah, with that being said, I know there's another button has been pressed.
So if I may, real quick,
Yes.
the Notify Me, we were looking at the list of what it does offer. There is not an item for just public hearings. However, staff, we can call Civic Plus, work with IT and Civic Plus, which is our website platform that we use, to see if that's something we can add. If it's not, then that's another bridge we'll have to cross, but hopefully that's something we can incorporate under Notify Me. But at the very least, we will be able to use the calendar and the community spotlight.
Okay.
So I do like the Notify Me or even the Alert Center on the website. I just know when there's new business interest, it's possible that the public doesn't read through like an entire planning commission agenda. So even under the Alert Center, maybe the company can add something like new business alert, and that's going to send a text message or an email. So that way everyone knows there's a hearing coming up for potential interest.
Yeah, that comes down to whomever's in charge, which I've been also pressing for a PIO, but we all have. So let me just go down the line here with everybody here. I've been taking notes. The website, everybody's okay with that? And social media, obviously, everybody agrees with that. What about the newspaper? No, Martinez? Councilmember? No?
It would really depend on what kind of hearing it's going to be. So I think we should keep it optional.
Okay.
But I think it's going to vary on what type of hearing.
I guess if an optional, the question would be, should we leave it at the discretion of the
I
city?
guess that's kind of vague.
Yeah,
yeah,
you're going to have to define optional.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of something like a special hearing for like budget, right? We want people to participate and know what's going on with the budget. So that would be kind of a special hearing. But again, the other council members would have to agree to that.
So more than what's required is, I guess we have to give you like additional days versus 10 to 14. That's kind of what I think we should give her direction on.
You want to just do city manager discretion?
I'm okay with that because I'm sure there's times where you feel that it's necessary to do maybe 20 days ahead of time. I don't know. Is that okay? Discretion. I'm sure
Good with
we're
that.
looking at the budget when it comes to that. But let me look. I know, Mr. Casey, you made some comments. Is there anything that you need to ask? Just want to make sure. I'm going down the line, by the way, Mr. Casey. Okay, so with the newspaper at city manager's discretion, the bigger one right here that everybody. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't do was your button press, but it doesn't matter. Go ahead,
I
Councilman.
thought you were going down the line and you kind of just went right.
Oh, no, I was going down the line on my list.
Oh.
But yeah, go ahead on the newspaper comment.
Okay, so on the newspaper, I think there's probably some legal mandates that we have to make sure we're compliant with when it comes to newspaper postings. So I definitely don't want to say that's out of the board, especially if it's legally mandated. I don't think that should be our primary since especially since it only comes out once a week, where San Jose probably has a daily newspaper. We don't have that option here. We only have a weekly, so we definitely can't change the dates either, because we have to consider the time frame when it comes to the Wednesday. And then the notify me, it looks like we have a lot of different options on here. So I don't see why like the latest news and events couldn't follow into that subject line that's already on the website that I can see right now.
Okay. The big one I'm asking for direction is the utility bill. Yes or no? No for me either.
On the mailing, I don't think so, but if we can do the email or attach it or a little comment on the bill that says, hey, check out our website or subscribe to notify me to get the latest updates. I can see having a little blurb, but I don't think mailing it out to an extra piece of paper is necessary. But like I said, I'm on the email one and I get everything that you guys want to email me.
Can work with the finance office to see about adding a blurb on letting people know to sign up for Notify Me. I would not suggest that we place a blurb on there about the public hearing, because it won't be potentially won't have enough space for all of the language, one. And two, again, timing. If that only goes out once a month, we may run into an issue where we don't get to notify those individuals in time for a changed public hearing date.
Okay. And the next one will be chamber email blast. Chamber email blast. It's free. And then
That's fine. I used to have it in. I went and looked. It used to be Tuesdays at 10 is what I have on my calendar. And when I had to have it in, it was Tuesdays at 10. So, and if they're still free, which is what I was utilizing for my business, I don't see why we wouldn't want to continue to utilize a service that's being offered for something we're already paying for, which is our membership with the chamber.
And again, that's one of the items we'll have to look at logistically if it will work. Basically, whichever options we choose, they need to work every time. So if it's one that doesn't work every time, it may not be feasible.
okay. The property notice minimum or increasing the maximum, which would require policy change.
That's a totally different question. So keep in mind, and we're getting two items molded together.
If that's not on the table, I just wanted to make sure, because that was
That's already being taken care of through the community development, and it's required by certain laws as far as, conditional use permits and annexation, stuff like that. It's not have anything to do with council meetings.
Just want to make sure Mr. Casey's question was answered. I believe that's all the notes that I've taken down. Is there anything that we're missing? Oh, add in the notify me. The adding notify me, that's another additional item that I think the council is okay with. How about this? Just because, go ahead and repeat them.
So I have the Notify Me text messages through the city's website. I have a potential of adding a blurb on the utility bills for signing up for Notify Me. Excuse me. Social media postings on our website as a spotlight and on the calendar. Chamber of Commerce e-blast, we're going to look into the feasibility. And newspaper will always post the required notice. And then additional notice would be at the city manager's discretion.
We good? Mr. Casey? He said, okay.
So then staff will come back at a later date to memorialize that.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay. No action on this item. Direction only. Moving on to council member referrals. Number 13, public safety forums, and this is requested by Councilmember Otero. So she will present this referral.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. I believe you skipped item number 12.
Did I skip item number 12? That's just my apologies. Item number 12. Oh, thank you very much. Probably one of the most exciting ones. Going back, item number 12, City Council to provide direction on joining Sister Cities International. And this presentation is by our city manager, correct? Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor and council members, this was a referral from Vice Mayor Martinez, but anyway, staff recommends the city council discuss and determine if the city would consider forming a committee to develop a plan to build public support for the possibility of joining Sister City International and perform all the necessary tasks to locate a similar city. Originally, Sister Cities International was founded by Dwight Eisenhower back in 1956, basically to bring peace through the people-to-people diplomacy. Right now, there are over 450 cities participating in the program, and for a cost for us to join Sister Cities International would be roughly $610,000 or $610 because we're under 50,000 people. Once we go over 50,000, it goes up to $810 a year. Sister City County State relationships is a broad-based long-term partnership between two communities in two separate countries. Basically, they're recommending that Sister Cities secure community support, develop lines of communication with the other city, correspondence phase is developed, and then develop a partnership agreement that we can pick up from Sister Cities International, and then have an official signing ceremony. And then from there on, implementation and evaluation of the program. Right now, once you secure that, they're looking at trying to put cities together that have some matching and have sharing different organizations, or looking at, let's see, so agriculture, socioeconomic diversity institutions and such like that. Again, it's highly recommended that the committee be formed to handle and support the program because of the amount of involvement that occurs with establishing a program and the continued support for the sister city. Sister city programs must always strive to ensure that each project undertaken by the members reflects the diversity of its network. It was recommended when it was referred that we look for a possible city in Japan. There is a city called Gotemba, which is based in agriculture, which is similar to us. It's about 80,000 people, and it does not have another sister city because some cities that you may be aware of have like 5 sister cities. But with the sister city program, it's intended to have at least the mayor and other council members or possibly staff to go over and visit the city and share documents and items from our city, and then that city reciprocate and come out over here and visit. So basically the fiscal impact would be the cost of whatever city we go to. There is a list of various cities on Sister City International, and there are probably about 75 from the Ukraine, if you're interested in doing any of those, but they're from all over the world that they're offering.
Thank you very much, Doug, for the presentation. The public comment is now open. Is there anyone in the chambers that would like to make a comment on this item?
Gene Yakeley, could you give a little bit more information? I kind of lost somewhere with the sister city thing. Are they looking for one for the city of Ceres?
No, sir. Basically, it's just city of Ceres would be looking for a sister city. And so there's a list of sister cities that are looking for other cities to join them, or we can go and recruit our own to see if they're interested in matching with us.
So is there a list that you have to pull from?
No.
So can citizens suggest something?
It would be up to council discretion.
Okay. Yep, there you go. Bring it up to the citizens if they want to do that. Thank you.
Anybody else? Seeing none. Anybody on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, public comment is now closed. To bring this item back for discussion and questions. I do have a question. For example, you said that there'll be some additional cost. The travel and expenses will need to be budgeted. That would be your goal, right? To make sure that it's budgeted ahead of time to not exceed.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And during this process, is the committee's responsibility to choose the cities, or they're just going to be there after the council decides with public input? I don't know what exactly the committee is supposed to do.
So basically what it boils down to is a city will join Sister Cities International. Then we can pick the city that we want to try and partner with, and it's up to the committee to do all the work to facilitate that.
Okay. Okay. I will go ahead and start with Councilmember Otero.
So currently, as you know, in our community, we are very culturally diverse. And that's one thing that I do love about Ceres. I do believe that we have to have the community's buy-in with this, especially if there is going to be costs later that we're going to have to budget. I don't think it's a bad idea, but I think there's other steps that we need to take first before considering this. I know that in our county, there is a lot of different events, arts, culture, business, education that is pushed out by different cities. And then I know that our school district also has an exchange student program, which I think is great for our students as well. But I definitely want to make sure that we do have the residents buy-in before we move forward with something like this.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Doug, how big of a committee are you looking for? And then, do you want multiple council member representation or just a citizens committee?
That's all the council decision. And you can have the committee as large as you want, however many people you think you need to pull this off to make it successful, and however many council members you want to put on that would be all a council decision.
Yeah, I would believe 2. Thank you.
Councilmember Piera.
Kind of scared me there for a minute. I guess my only concern, again, with echoing Councilmember Otero, is needing the community buy-in and the cost, especially with freezing jobs and freezing, our dispatch and looking at other ways of trying to reduce our budget right now to be within our means. I don't know if I necessarily have the full buy-in yet on expanding and sending a group of staff members to another city, whether it's in Japan or wherever. Yeakley might have some good ideas because he traveled in the military. And so, we have a lot of veterans even at our use that can recommend cities that are probably a lot like Ceres in other parts of the world that are part of the sister cities. And I like the idea that there is a city that hasn't been paired with another city that would be similar to us, because I think there's a lot to learn, even locally. I usually talk to my friends that are out in Watsonville, just because Watsonville is very similar to us. They're right about 50,000, although they specialize more in strawberries than we do. We're more almonds. But it's important to just have that conversation even locally. But again, I think my biggest concern right now is the costs and how that's going to work. And if we can even get grant funding and it's not hitting our general fund, or we're not able to make it work, if we can get grant funding, I would be supportive. But when it comes to freezing departments, freezing our police department, I wouldn't be supportive of using money like this to send staff somewhere in the world.
Doug, I have a question. So would there be an opportunity, just like everybody's talking in regards to maybe having some kind of public input at some of the next events to explain to them how Sister City works? Because there's a criteria required on choosing the city, correct? They have to be close in the numbers of close in population is what I meant to say.
Well, yeah, they use it by population in different industries, academic institutions, cultural, agricultural, or pre-existing relationships, or corporate, historical, ancestral relationships. Any of those things they look for in a sister city.
Another question that I asked you in the office was, even if we say that that's the sister city we're interested in, they still have to approve us? So, okay.
The other city has to agree to it, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So my recommendation is that we do a little bit more public input to kind of get their buy-in. I think the more people learn about this, the more support we'll get on this. That way, in the future, if we decide to move forward, when we're traveling, the buy-in is there and they're excited. Because I know there's a point where we travel over there and they travel over here and they hold their city council meeting here and we hold one over there. Is that correct or no? That's not correct? Well, then
No,
never mind.
we go over there to visit. That we
Just to
can't
visit.
hold city council because there's only two of you over there.
Okay, then never mind on that portion of it. Well, okay, with that being said, that's just my recommendation. I really truly believe, like Mr. Yegley said, he's interested in maybe looking into other cities, and maybe there's not any cities really available, but we'll come to that conclusion when we get there. Mr. Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it should be put on the budget for next year at $610, is that correct, to join? I think that some of us might be thinking, well, I'm going to join and then the city's going to send me to Japan. I think that's another complete issue. I think that it's not a bad idea, but since we're so close to the end of the year, just make it a budget item, and hopefully this year we'll review our budget carefully and keep the things on there that we need.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Casey.
Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor.
Doug, is it possible to have a committee put together and have meetings and get the input from citizens there and then have that committee give a recommendation if they would want to move forward or abolish this idea entirely?
Yes.
And then would you need the 2 council members and let's say 3 additional citizens picked right now?
That'd be part of the discussion. If you want to, you don't have to pick them right now, but just come up with an idea of how big a committee members you want, and then put together a
Could I
team.
recommend that we
You can,
kind of follow the process that Montero has been talking about, maybe have them apply and then come and speak in front of the council and choose. That way there's interest, right? You might have some kids from the high school that might be interested in joining in that.
so yeah, right now, remember, this is for direction.
This is a
council wants us
discussion
to
about
follow.
the possibility of directing you for that consideration.
But I think those are for boards and committees, right? This would be something totally different. This would be an appointed citizens advisory board, so we would pick.
Is it? Okay, that's fine too. That's the will of council.
Well, I would suggest Mayor Lopez, Councilmember Otero, Mr. Yankley, Ms. Myers, and then Doug Wallach from the Lions Club. I would recommend those 5 individuals to be a committee to see if there's any interest in this.
They would have to
Good
accept.
agreement on the rest of the council.
Well, that's just his recommendation.
It's just my recommendation to see if anyone else is interested.
I would be interested. That's fine.
Just a reminder, this is consensus only, so there's no action that's going to be taken tonight.
So you'll bring it back
It
with
will have
that
to be
information.
brought back for council action.
Regardless, yeah. So go ahead.
I have one thing. Would it be too large of a committee if maybe each of us choose a citizen representative from each district?
I don't think it would. It'd be great, actually. Not a bad.
And then you mentioned 2 council members.
So 7 instead of 5, is that all right? Yeah, so then would you want each person to recommend their person this evening?
Probably when it comes back for direction.
And also, Vice Mayor, this was one of your referrals, or do you want to sit on the committee?
No, I'm fine with not being on it and letting other people participate and bring
I
back a
would-
different
I would
perspective.
recommend having you on the committee since it was something you were,
Okay, Mr. Mayor, would it be all right if it's myself and Councilmember Otero?
or you and someone else could.
I'm willing.
Others.
I'm willing to do it.
Yeah.
You, Vice Mayor.
Unless Councilmember Vieira, Councilmember Casey, would either one of you be interested in joining another commission?
Again, I think it's premature. We could bring it before make sure it's on the budget for the $610. Or we're going to have a committee to decide whether or not we should spend $610?
Yes. Yeah, the plan would be to have the committee decide if this is something we would want to do moving forward.
So right now, we're just coming up with suggestions. We'll bring it back, and then we can make the committee suggestions that night to see what, or, what the council decides. This is just direction to what you want us to do and bring
So-
back to you.
So direction that it'd be 7, one member each district, me, overall city. Make sure that we focus on cost. And anything else we're missing? Is that it? Okay. I believe that is your consensus. Now,
So was that a 5-0 consensus?
We need thumbs up, thumbs down. What do you
I
want?
got smiles and thumbs up. Rosalind is not supportive of it. So these two are not supportive of it. We have 3 moving forward. Thank you. All right. Now we're moving on to item number 13, Public Safety Forum requested by Councilmember Otero.
Thank you. So I've been thinking a lot about the relationship between the police department and our citizens, and I'd like to request for our city to begin hosting public safety forums. This could be a partnership between the fire department and the police department, where they could both be present depending on the topics, but it is a way for our city leaders to engage with our community and give our residents a voice on safety issues and concerns about crime. I also think it's a way for us to be proactive and transparent while building the trust and then learning about the great work that our police department and our fire department does. My suggestion is doing these forums twice a year. It doesn't have to be every month or quarterly. I think maybe twice a year would be reasonable unless others have ideas. We would probably want to consider keeping it very structured, maybe like a Q&A type panel discussion, or have presentations during these forums so that way we can educate our public or the community and have other community safety discussions.
Thank you. No, yeah, there is the public comment is now open. Any comments from the public? Seeing none. Anybody online?
There's no hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, public comment is now closed. Bringing this item back for council discussion and direction. Councilmember Vieira.
Thank you, Otero. I know I mentioned this in the past and I fully support the idea. I know in the past we partnered with the Ceres Unified School District and they did one on fentanyl and our police department was there. They actually played a video of an actual response at the McDonald's here locally, which was very informative for the community to see what it looks like, what they're dealing with on a daily basis, as well as their response and what happens when they come off, when they're giving them the Narcan and they finally come alert again. And it was very informative. It was a great presentation and we had 3 or 4 police officers that were there. As well as our chief and I think our captain and a lieutenant. I like the idea. I think it does need to be structured because it could get kind of chaotic and the topics are going to change based on what's going on in our society. But again, I don't know if maybe we can partner with some of the topics that are coming with Ceres Unified since they already have the room reserved. They already provide free food and they kind of already have the structure and maybe we can kind of incorporate it like we did last year. I think that's a good idea to address some of the stuff going on. Locally. Thank you.
Councilmember Casey.
Few words. I support what Councilman has proposed, that we have a public forum. Thank you. I support the idea of having public safety forums at least twice a year. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I support the concept as well. That'd be great.
Just want to add one thing. I think that's a great idea that Councilmember Vieira mentioned, having some, the forums with the school district still and the students. But with these forums, I think it's going to be important to hit on like the staffing at the police department, talk about maybe crime trends, crime stats, things like that as well. So I think it would all depend on what city staff would like to present during that time. Thank you.
Oh, Councilmember Vieira, go ahead.
Thank you. I just want, because Otero had mentioned the numbers, and I know in the past we used to get monthly stats of like vehicles, our code enforcement responses and all of that. We haven't been getting that in probably over a year. And I think some of that, if we go back to publishing that online or even having it access so the 5 of us can share it, that may also address some of our statistics that we have going on, or trends that are going on in town. But that was stuff up until about a year ago that was being communicated to us that we're not getting communicated anymore. And I think that might help resolve maybe at least that initially, while this other stuff works through the system of government.
Okay. We are looking for consensus. Thumbs up. Okay, there we go. Okay, moving on to reports. I have no reports.
Sorry, Mayor, excuse me. I do have a referral request that I'd like to add real quick.
My apologies. Sorry about that.
In an effort to continue building onto the public outreach, I do have a request for our city manager to begin providing monthly updates on the city website for each department. I think it's going to allow the residents to see all of the work that city staff is doing, all the projects, and also any future events.
Is there any comments on that? Oh, this is,
There would be.
okay,
yeah,
I've had a
come
long
back
night. I've
for
had a long night. We're fine.
Agendized item for consensus.
Okay, thank you, council member. Okay, any additional referrals? Mr. Casey?
This is not really a report, it's more of a question. Every year, about the same time, I bring it before the fire department. What are we doing about weed invadement? You know, the property across the street from the high school, that triangle's got a lease sign on front of it. Today, you know, I go by that every day, so I'm aware of the condition. Today, if you wanted to lease that property, you'd have to get out of your car and go to the sign and move the weeds so you could see the phone number. And the same is true with the property across the street from that. Every year, you know, we have this peach festival that was talked about earlier, and the entrance to our city, both on Mitchell Road, Hatch Road, and this exit off of 99, the weeds, there's no need for that. You have property owners that do the responsible thing, with the weeds, just the property. But every year, this is the same thing. And then last year, it got so bad that we had to bring the city in to clean it up. I don't understand the procedure. I know I was told that there's an app for that. So I did the app last year, and 10 days after the app, right away they say get back to you. By the time I got an answer, the city went in and cleaned up the property itself. So that's just an observation. I don't expect an answer tonight. The other question I have is not really a report, but a question. Last session, last council meeting, we deferred the approving the investment because the city treasurer hadn't had an opportunity to review it. That was some more than almost 3 weeks ago. And I'm wondering, Mr. Mayor, if you had the opportunity to talk to the city treasurer to see if the city treasurer had time to review that. That's a question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Casey. Mr. City Manager, do you have any responses to his questions?
So regarding the investment that was put on hold for the treasurer, speaking with the finance director, because we have the audits going on, negotiations and the budget all simultaneously, we've decided to hold off until after the budget gets approved to go back after the investment.
Thank you. And while you're at it, clarification on the property from which you've told me you try to reach out to them, they've ignored you, and we went ahead and cleaned it. They refused to pay us, right? And the fire department does go out there frequently, and I think Councilmember Casey's correct. It's unfair. It's unfair to the citizens that we have to clean up after a property owner who doesn't really care. So any thoughts on that?
We'll be working with the city attorney's office to put a lien on the property.
Love that. Thank you. Mr. Casey, would you like to add anything?
Sure, Mr. Mayor, I had to add to that situation. You know, I'm learning every day my responsibilities, and I make an effort to be a better city council person. Initially, when I first came on the council, that property, I mean, I go by it every day. And so I talked to our then, at the time, acting city manager, and the city manager referred me to the then Fire Chief Ernst, I believe his name was, or Ernst. And so I he took the time to notify him. He called me. It's the same property owner. And he told me, the fire chief at the time, said, he's a good man, just give him time and he'll take care of it. As all of us, well, not everyone, but most of us know, it's a disaster there at that corner, and it's the same property owner. So, you know, I don't know what we can do legally, but we should not, at our expense, we talked about budget items, we should not, at our expense, have to do anything with that property, and that property owner should have to pay for what we did last year. And if he doesn't, then I guess we'll just do it again. Huh? I don't know. That's just the two things I mentioned are factual, and I actually have emails that support both of those statements by our then acting city manager and the then city fire chief of Modesto. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Casey. We will now move on with additional city council reports. Rosalinda, looks like you won that toss-up. Go ahead.
Thank you. So last week we had the Stanislaus Homeless Alliance. Stanislaus County Housing Authority actually has a shortfall in their budget this year. Their budget from the state is actually reduced by 5%. So that we're going to see long-term as for those people that are directly affected. They also had their emergency vouchers came to an end last year that served about 150 people that needed emergency vouchers that needed, like usually families that had either a fire or some kind of long-term emergency situation. So that is also being cut from the county. Luckily, we have Red Cross that usually provides the backup there. I also met with CARE. They've been working here with our police department for the last 2 years. I met with Raul Dominguez last week. He shared the process of the case management that they're dealing here with our code enforcement and our police department here in Ceres when it comes to addressing some of the homeless situations or those that are unhoused. I still encourage those of you who are seeing them. I know I'm starting to see a little bit of an uprise. Please be sure to log it, contact code enforcement so that way those can be addressed. CARE can come out, try to offer them resources, trying to get them into the program. Through the VISBADAT, which is the online program to try to get them into housing or transitional housing or into a shelter. So those options are available, but they do have to get into the system and get those options available. And they do have to want to go, which is the other option we're seeing. They're visiting some of these individuals about 40 times before they finally accept services. So we need to start that process because the sooner we start the first visit, the closer we get to number 40 where they say, you know what? I'm willing to go with you this time. Yes, I'm willing to go get treatment or whatever the situation is with them. So we just want to make sure we're doing that. And then we have the Stanislaus Urban County Housing Consortium Plan that goes over our CSBG home and ESB grant funding. This discusses infrastructure, economic development, construction of affordable housing, first-time home buyers assistance, and additional homeless prevention. And I know recently this kind of came up regarding our senior development that just went approval through our planning commission this last week. It's important to people for members of the community, everyone, not just the ones in the audience, to attend those community meetings to make sure that your priorities are added to the next, to what you want here in Ceres for us to prioritize. And I just spoke with Julian to confirm, and this includes economic development, first-time buyers, senior housing, homeless prevention. The ideas are endless. And Julian, I know you said we have a date coming up here in a few days, right?
That is correct. We have a community meeting on Thursday at 11 a.m. via Zoom, and then a 5:30 in person here at the community center this Thursday. The flyer is posted on the county website under community development. Public notice has went out in the Ceres Courier for both the meeting on Thursday and the public hearing on the 28th. And it's also posted on Stanislaus County website. So this is for the 3-year consolidated plan and the annual action plan.
Thank you. I appreciate you. doing that for me. I know there were some comments regarding the traffic and the light signaling. I did talk to Beltran. I know I talk to him every week about the traffic in here because I always get stuck out by Central Valley High School. The contract was a one-year process. So again, traffic varies throughout the year and throughout the day. So they did have cameras up. I think that data just came down, those cameras, because they wanted to see what it looks like during different parts of the year and different parts of the month, as well as different times of the day, because the beginning of the school year is obviously going to be different than the summer when the schools are out. So they're currently working on getting the streetlights in better sync. I can't make any promise as to how the drivers drive, but at least we can do what we can in the city when it comes to actually trying to flow a little better in the city. But again, it's going to take about a 1 year with the amount of lights that we have here in town. And hopefully we can minimize some of the traffic accidents that I know we've had some pretty serious ones over the weekend. While I was out, I did see some of those happen. And then lastly, we had a scholarship night with the Latino Chamber of Commerce. I apologize to the students who were there. The certificate somehow didn't make it, but I wanted to recognize Oscar Pimentel from Ceres High School. He was actually recognized for his contributions and his hard work. And I look forward to his success in the future. And I look forward to seeing what he can do as he moves off to college and graduates Ceres High School. And I appreciate everything that he's been doing regarding his grades. And I believe I talked to the mayor, and they're going to be working on getting the certificate out to Ceres High School for this individual. And those are my updates. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll make this quick. I just wanted to thank Sam and his team, Public Works Parks Division, and then also the Central Valley Christian Academy for adding a layer of the wood fiber to Ochoa Park. And I also want to congratulate our K-9 officer, Gallenkamp, and K-9 Fiona. It looks like they earned 5 awards over the weekend at the K-9 trial, which is awesome. And they were also honored with the Top Dog Award. I will say Officer Gallenkamp represented Ceres very well because this takes a lot of dedication, a lot of training, and a lot of hard work. So he didn't only represent, you know, the police department and the city, but all of the residents that live here. So I just thank you to him, and K-9 Fiona deserves a week off and some extra treats. Earlier, community member Nathan Sanchez came in and talked about the event on Friday. It was really successful, and I thank everybody who joined during that cruise, and it just brought joy to the children and the families in the community. But I do want to thank him and his wife Sonia for putting that together and bringing the community together once again, along with the police department. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, Otero. I appreciate you bringing that up regarding Friday, because I think that's very important. When I talk to Modesto, that's West and South Side Modesto are struggling with gang issues. And I know it took some out of your time, police, and I really apologize because I know there was, I believe, approximately 100 cars out there. So it did take a little bit, but I think it was good because they were able to see that people can come together of different organizations, different colors, or different ethnicity and backgrounds and diversity. And we were all able to just be together, and we handed out candy, and I know Superman was out there, or Spider-Man, sorry, I don't have young children anymore. And we were all together, and we're not dealing with those issues like they're doing in Modesto right now with the gang fighting on the south and west side. And I know you guys are probably seeing some of that. So I think it was key that, and I was glad Nathan was able to get on, and Otero and Daniel were all able to, we were all able to go out there through a grant through Love Our Cities to purchase the ice cream and the candies to distribute to the children. And I think it's important that we continue to bring diversity and inclusion of everyone so we don't have those gang issues. I know if we're starting to see a little escalation at the parks, and we can continue to just kind of be accepting and knowing that we're all in this together, and that we don't see what we're seeing out now in Modesto and the issues that they're having. And I appreciate you guys being there because that just shows that, you know what, we're all in this together, and I appreciate it.
Anybody else? Ryan, city manager.
I have nothing to report.
City attorney. Any department heads? Joey.
Just real quick, I want to thank Councilmember Otero, Councilmember Vieira for last week to attending our Easter event. Great event. We had about little over 260 adults and about 250 children that attended the event. So thank you.
Thank you very much. With that being said, we'll now go to closed session for a conference with legal counsel regarding anticipation litigation, Government Code 54956.9D2 for one potential case. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak regarding to this closed session item? Okay, after the closed session, I will return the report out. Everybody have a good night and God bless.
Okay, no reportable action.